You know those races where one driver just makes the entire grid look slow. That's exactly what Lando Norris did in Mexico. From lights to flag, he didn't just win, he dominated. 30 seconds clear of Charles Leclerc in second place. That's not just a win, that's a statement. Norris turned his pole position into one of the cleanest, most commanding drives of his entire career, and with it, he's taken back the championship lead. Yeah, Lando Norris is back on top, and the title fight just got a lot more interesting. It's wild when you think about how the story's flipped. For weeks, everyone was talking about Oscar Piastri's rise, Max Verstappen's supposed comeback, and how McLaren might start showing cracks. But while everyone was busy watching the others, Norris quietly put together something special. Consistent, controlled, and relentless. Third in Singapore, second in Austin, and now first in Mexico. He's been inching closer and closer, race by race, until finally, here we are. Norris leads the championship by just 1 point. 357 to Piastri's 356. That's basically nothing, but it's everything at this stage of the season. What makes it even more impressive is how effortless it looked. His start was picture perfect, while chaos unfolded behind him. Verstappen lunging, Leclerc cutting across, Hamilton trying to hold position, Norris just focused on clean exits and tyre management. From there, it was all about pace. Every lap, he built that gap, completely in control. You could almost feel the confidence through the screen. And honestly, when a driver's in that kind of rhythm, it's scary for everyone else on the grid. But here's the real question for you. Do you think Norris is now the clear favourite to win this championship? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments. I really want to see where the fanbase stands after this one, because momentum like this doesn't come often. And hey, if you love seeing moments like this, when talent, timing, and teamwork all click, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We're pushing hard to reach 2,000 subscribers, and your support genuinely helps this community grow. Plus, you'll never miss a post-race deep dive like this one. Alright, so Norris takes the win, McLaren looks unstoppable, and the title race just swung wide open again. But what does the championship picture actually look like now? And what do the numbers tell us about who's still really in it? Let's break that down next. Alright, let's talk numbers. Because now that Norris has snatched back the championship lead, things are getting seriously tight at the top. After Mexico, the standings couldn't be closer. Lando Norris sits on 357 points, Oscar Piastri right behind on 356, and Max Verstappen in third with 321. Just 36 points separating Verstappen from the leader. And with 4 races and 2 sprint events still to go, mathematically, it's anyone's game. But realistically, the momentum says otherwise. Let's start with Norris. In the last 3 rounds, he's been a machine. A podium in every single one, and now a win that looks like a message to the rest of the grid. If McLaren keeps this pace, it's hard to imagine anyone matching him. He's driving with that perfect mix of confidence and composure, the kind that makes even the smallest advantage turn into a huge one. But here's the twist. That 1 point lead means 0 margin for error. 1 slip, 1 bad pit stop, 1 unlucky safety car, and Piastri's right back on top. It's that fragile. Now, speaking of Piastri, you have to admit, the rookie energy from last season has evolved into something mature and calculated. Even though he finished 5th in Mexico, his season's been rock solid overall. He's avoided major mistakes, and he's kept Norris within reach, despite McLaren clearly favouring the driver with more momentum. If you've been following their dynamic, you can almost sense the tension brewing beneath the surface. Both of them are chasing the same goal, driving the same car, and yet their paths couldn't feel more different right now. Then there's Verstappen. The reigning champion hasn't lost a mathematical chance, but let's be honest, Unless something wild happens, like mechanical failures or strategy chaos hitting McLaren, he's running out of time. Still, it's Max, right? You can never completely count him out. If Red Bull finds a sudden burst of pace in the final stretch, or if the FIA's decisions start tipping races one way or another, and let's face it, we've seen that before, things could swing again fast. So here's a fun thought for you. If Norris leads by just a single point after Mexico, who do you think will lift the trophy at the end? Norris, Piastri, or Verstappen? Drop your vote in the comments and let's see which camp the fans are backing right now. And if you're into breakdowns like this, analysing not just who won, but how the championship math actually shifts behind the scenes, go ahead and subscribe to Fast News F1 and turn on notifications. Your support helps us get closer to that 2,000 subscriber goal, and it keeps this kind of deep dive coverage coming after every race. Because when we're talking about margins this small, every detail matters. And so does every call made by the stewards. And that's where things start to heat up. Because after Mexico, all eyes turned to Lewis Hamilton and a penalty that left fans furious. So, let's get into the part that had the entire paddock talking: Lewis Hamilton's penalty. What happened in Mexico wasn't just a racing moment. It turned into yet another example of how inconsistent the FIA can be when it comes to enforcing their own rules. And honestly, it's getting hard to watch. On lap 6, Hamilton went a bit too deep into turn 4, locked up, cut across the grass, and rejoined the track ahead of another car. The stewards hit him with a 10-second time penalty, harsh, but technically by the book, understandable. The overall issue isn't that Hamilton got penalised. It's that others did almost the same thing and walked away completely clean. That's what's driving fans crazy. Just a few corners before that, Max Verstappen made one of his trademark lunges into turn 1. Overly aggressive, forced contact, and pushed Hamilton off the track. Then Verstappen went too deep into turn 2, but somehow stayed ahead. Now think about that for a second. Verstappen's move directly forced Hamilton off the circuit, yet no investigation, no warning, nothing. Moments later, Hamilton tries to rejoin safely, and he's the one who gets punished. It just doesn't add up. And it's not an isolated case. Charles Leclerc did something strikingly similar on the opening lap. He completely missed turn 1, cut across the grass, and came back on track ahead of Hamilton, keeping the position. That's a textbook example of gaining an advantage off track. Normally that's a slam dunk penalty, or at least a clear order to give the place back. But once again, silence from the FIA. No investigation, no instructions, nothing. So when Hamilton finally gets called in for a penalty, you can't help but feel like there's a pattern. Every time he's involved, the rule book suddenly gets stricter. And when it's Verstappen or Leclerc, things seem to go under review and magically disappear. Fans see it, teams see it, everyone sees it. And when that happens over and over again, it starts to look less like coincidence and more like favoritism, or at the very least, narrative control. Because let's be real, if a midfield driver had made that same move on another midfield driver, the penalty would have been instant, no hesitation. But when it's a title contender like Verstappen, the FIA seems reluctant to interfere with the storyline. And that's where a lot of fans, myself included, start to lose patience. Formula One shouldn't be about who fits the script better. It should be about racing, pure and simple. So, tell me, honestly, do you think Hamilton deserved that penalty? Yes or no? Drop your take in the comments and let's see where the community stands on this one. And if you believe the FIA needs to clean up its act and finally apply the rules consistently, hit that like button and subscribe. Your support helps us keep digging into stories like this and gets us closer to our goal of 2,000 subscribers. But while Hamilton's penalty caused outrage, McLaren's weekend showed a very different kind of story: teamwork, dominance, and internal tension. Let's talk about what's really happening between Norris and Piastri inside that garage. Inside McLaren, things are getting complicated, in the best possible way. When both of your drivers are fighting for a world championship, that's a dream scenario, but it's also a massive headache. Lando Norris may have the upper hand right now, but Oscar Piastri isn't exactly backing down. The balance between teamwork and rivalry is becoming one of the most fascinating storylines of the season. You can sense it in their body language, their radio messages, even the tone of post-race interviews. Norris is in the zone, calm, collected, laser-focused on the bigger picture. Piastri, meanwhile, knows he's still in the fight, just 1 point behind. And that must sting. In Mexico, you could tell he wasn't happy with fifth. For someone who's been neck and neck with Norris all season, finishing off the podium feels like a loss, especially when your teammate just took a dominant win. And here's the question no one at McLaren wants to say out loud. Is it time to back one driver? From a purely strategic standpoint, it makes sense. They've got two incredible talents, but every team eventually reaches that point where they have to decide, do we let them race? Or do we put all our chips behind one? Because as we've seen in the past, think Hamilton and Rosberg at Mercedes, letting two teammates fight freely can cost both the title. Still, that's part of what makes this season so thrilling. You can feel the respect between Norris and Piastri, but you can also feel the tension building. Every overtake, every strategy call, every radio message carries extra weight now. And McLaren knows one wrong decision could hand the championship right back to Verstappen. So here's what I want to know from you. Should McLaren officially back Norris for the title push, or should they keep letting both drivers fight it out until the very end? Comment 1 if you think they should back a single driver, or both if you want to see them race freely. And if you love this kind of behind-the-scenes team drama, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications on. We're closing in on 2,000 subscribers, and every single one of you helps this channel keep growing. Now, with McLaren flying high and the championship fight reaching boiling point, it's time to look ahead. 4 races, 2 sprint weekends, everything still to play for. Let's break down what's coming next. 4 races and 2 sprints left. That's where this championship lives now, in small margins and big decisions. With tracks coming up that reward different strengths, the next few weekends will act like a filter. Some circuits favour pure downforce and cooling, which suits McLaren's current balance, while others will reward outright power and top speed that Red Bull can still unlock. That means strategy will matter more than ever. Qualifying position, tyre choices, and pit stop windows could decide the outcome of entire weekends. Expect teams to gamble more on strategy calls and expect drama when fuel loads, tyre life, or safety cars upset the plan. From a tactical viewpoint, the sprint weekends are particularly dangerous for the leader. They compress opportunities to recover from mistakes and penalise any slip-up immediately. A botched sprint or a contact-packed run could swing more points than a normal weekend. That makes consistency king. Norris and Piastri both need spotless weekends, and Verstappen will be hunting anything that breaks the momentum. Watch the pit wall calls. If a team starts favouring one driver in tight moments, that's your signal. The internal strategy is shifting from both to one. That would change the math instantly. Driver-wise, keep an eye on tyre management and clean starts. The opening laps have produced some of the biggest talking points recently, and with rivals breathing down your neck, those first corners will be where chases get settled or lost. Also watch for floor damage or any small aerodynamic issue. In this phase of the season, tiny problems compound fast and turn a potential podium into a points loss. So here's what I want from you before we wrap. Which race do you want a full circuit preview for? The next sprint weekend or the following full Grand Prix? Comment the track name and I'll pick one for a deep dive. Also, quick yes, no. Do you think the title will be decided before the final race? Say yes or no and add one reason. And if you followed this whole breakdown, please subscribe and turn on notifications. We're pushing to 2,000 subscribers, and your support keeps these post-race analyses coming. Thanks for sticking with me through the ups and downs. We'll be right here after the next race to break down what actually mattered.